Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. I have one of the last Christmas cards of the season. I don't know whether this will be the last one or not, but I'm down to fast and easy. So I've got a pretty little Christmas card that uses things that hopefully you already have in your stash and go quickly. And so let's just get started. Okay, here is my card. And again, it's a very simple but very fast and yet I think very pretty little card. So what it takes to make this card is I used a Whisper White base, thick Whisper White base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have 2 pieces of cherry cobbler that measure 4 by 5 1/4, and I have run one of those pieces through my 3D Forest, Evergreen Forest 3D folder. I never can get it quite right. And that is to provide background for the front of the card. Then we have a layer for the inside of the card along with a Whisper White layer that is 3 3/4 by 5, which will layer on our piece on the inside. Now I have used some of the brass foil here and run it through the same embossing folder. Okay, and what I have done was I took a piece of brass and I ran it through my embossing folder, another piece here, and I just ran it through, this was just a piece of scrap that I had, ran it through the embossing folder and then cut it off and then cut these into 1-inch strips. So it's very fast. You can do a 4-inch wide piece in your embossing folder, cut it into 1-inch strips by 4 inches, and you have the makings for 4 cards real fast. And so I made enough to do 4 here, and I put one on my card, one for this card, and then a couple of extras. Okay, then I have a piece of scrap white for my sentiment. And then out of the foil, I used some of my stitched rectangle dies, 2 sizes that nested together for the sentiment that I wanted to put on here. And I used sentiments from Itty Bitty Christmas, and it has this pretty Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I thought that was, I liked that. I liked the font on it, and it fit neatly in my scheme of things here, and that will go on here, that will go on the card. And then on the inside I used I'm in love with this stamp from Tag Buffet, May Your Season Be Filled with All the Wonder and Blessings of Christmas. And then I took a little bit of this brass foil from the laser cut paper that we have. I took a leaf and added it and a tiny strip. I was able to cut off a bunch of those strips, and I have actually quite a few of them. I have a little envelope full of them here, and I just cut them down to size as I need them for a little embellishment on my card. And so I pulled out a couple of different leaves here so we could kind of see which one looked the best. But I think for a fast and easy card, it's got a pretty nice impact for sort of last minute things. Then I'm using this ribbon that we have that is called Fine Art Ribbon. Oh, this one's out of the new catalog. So any ribbon that you have with a little bit of gold trim on it will work. You could probably even just use a piece of another piece of brass paper along here would look just fine too, in which case I would put it underneath the label. I didn't realize this came out of the new catalog. This is one of the nice ribbons coming out of the new catalog. Okay, so let's just get started here. So I have already embossed my piece, and what I decided to do on this is I put my dimensionals on the back of this piece and raised this whole panel on the front. As you can see, I used quite a few dimensionals because once it's been embossed, it's a little delicate, and so I just want to make sure that it is raised appropriately, even, and supported. So I used quite a few dimensionals. Okay, there we go. And of course, I've forgotten to put on my ribbon already. But you know what? Let's cut a piece of brass since that's not current. And I'm just going to bring out my trimmer here. And I've got a piece of scrap brass here. And I'm going to cut, maybe a 1/2 inch strip right along here. There we go. And that piece of paper is 5 1/4 inches long. So we'll cut this at 5 1/4. And we'll use that brass piece instead of that ribbon. So what I have now is my piece of forest on the brass paper here. And I'm going to add my seal to that, and I'm going to add quite a bit of seal to the back of this. With an embossed piece like this, it's just got a lot of uneven texture there, and what I did was I set that inside this cherry cobbler piece like that, got that set on there, and then in this case I think we'll put this brass piece across here. I didn't get that one, maybe it's this piece. Yeah, this is the one that's cut the right length. So I'm going to go ahead and put some seal on this piece as well and set that, right about here. It looks like it's up about a little more than 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, going all the way across my card. Now then, I've got my Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This was smearing for me, so I did mine ahead of time so I could give it plenty of time to dry. And again, that's out of Itty Bitty Christmas, which has got so many pretty little sayings in it. And we're going to lay this one down and get that centered on here. And then I think, since I've already raised that on dimensionals, I'm going to put this down on the card without any more dimension. I think all of that embossing is plenty of dimension on this card. Okay, so now I'm going to set this piece down right across here. Set that into place, and then what I used was champagne rhinestones, and the champagne rhinestones work really well with both the copper and this brass paper. So I'm going to use sort of a medium-sized one on my sentiment. Where's my pick tool? Sometimes these things cooperate and sometimes they don't. Well, now I've got it stuck to me. There we go. I'm going to set this medium-sized one down here. And then what I did was I scattered a few of these smaller ones, almost like snow falling, here on my background. And so I just set them randomly here. As long as you're doing sort of an odd number of them, I think you can go as nuts as you want. in putting these down. And I was trying to be pretty random with the placement on these, but they just make the card. It just is so pretty added onto there. I think I'm going to even add one more right up in here. Okay, there we go. So there's the front of our card, and you saw how long that took. No time at all. Okay, so for the inside of my card, in fact, I may just go ahead and use these same leaves. Let's see, what did I pull out? I've got these leaves. Well, let me do my stamping first, and then we'll see which ones look the best. Okay, so my stamp is a red rubber, so I don't need to worry about putting it on a pierce mat. And I'm using my cherry Cobbler ink. And this is a nice big stamp. So I want to make sure that I get it inked up all over. I think I stamped that pretty much just right in the middle here near the top. Well, I didn't do a very good job of that, so I'll turn this over and do it again. Okay, so here we go. Right in the center near the top. And there's a nice stamp there. And then I'm going to need to give that a second to dry. Working with these dark colors can be very challenging in that they smear easily, so you have to be extra careful. Now, this piece is that strip I was telling you about that I cut off of the brass paper. So I'm going to use my dot runner to put a little bit of glue on the back of this, and without touching that stamping, I'm going to set this just along the bottom here, trying to get that straight, and then I can cut that piece off so that it fits perfectly on there. Having those little strips just really helps so that you can add just a touch here or there. And I'm going to cut off my stem. Let's see. That looks like it would be, well, that looks like it would be okay. Not too much. This is the one I used before. That's kind of pretty. And then I could also cut a little piece of this. You know, I think I'm going to use this one just to be a little bit different. And I'm going to snip off that stem. And I'm going to add a little bit of dot runner to the back of those leaves. And I'm going to be, again, very careful. I'm not trying not to touch the stamping there. And putting this leaf in place here. So I'm bringing a little bit of that brass from the outside to the inside of the card. And that looks to me to be dry now. So I'm going to go ahead and add my seal to the back of my card. And I did use Whisper White. This would be just as pretty with Very Vanilla. And center this on here. There we go. And then add some more seal on the back of this card. And get that put in place on the inside of this card. And there we go. A card that has a lot of pretty components to it. It's elegant, it's attractive, it's striking, it's easy, and it's fast. So I think we're down to fast and easy. By the time this one goes up, it'll be I think the 11th. And so that might be the last Christmas card of the season. I'd like to turn my attention to spring and the new catalog here anytime. Most of you started receiving your catalogs in the mail maybe even when this is posted, and within a couple of days of that, maybe by the end of this week, you should have your hands on that catalog. So that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. There's a fabulous offer coming in January. It's the same $125 worth of product for $99, and that's a pretty good deal to begin with. But they're throwing in 5 packages, 6x6 paper, designer series paper, of the individual pattern for all of the color families and the 2 in colors. So it's a wonderful buy, because that designer series paper would be $11.50 a piece, and you're getting 5. So it's worth an extra almost $80 for joining in January or February when the offer is going on. My prize draw for the month is a $60 shopping spree on me. I said it wrong in the last video. I'll go back and change the notes underneath it. Birds and Branches was won last month. This month it will be a $60 shopping spree on me, which will be kind of fun because it'll be maybe out of the new catalog. The prize for this video, because you all pushed me over 21,000 subscribers, is I have 2 packages of paper, Flowers for Every Season, 6x6 paper packs, and one for, we'll pick somebody for the drawing who subscribes for the first time, and you let me know that you've done that, and one for those who are already subscribed but share the video. So those are the prizes for this time. The new mini Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss machine is here. There it is. Isn't that just the cutest thing you've ever seen? And the sides fold up just like on the big machine. So that is the footprint. It's very small, and it comes with, I think this is 3.5 inches wide here, and this thing only weighs, doesn't even weigh 3 pounds. I think it's 2.7 pounds. And then it comes with all of the pieces that you need. Grab them here for cutting and embossing. So you have plates, and you can see I've already got marks on mine, so I was practicing putting things through here. So you have a base plate, and then a clear plate just like you would on the machine, on the other machine. Then you can put your die on paper in here, and then this machine, or this plate, and you just, in fact, we'll just do one here real fast. We'll crank this one through, and this is going to be so nice because if you're like me, I don't have a lot of space, and so being able to have this be the one that's out on top of my desk most of the time, with the other one within arm's distance, just because you sometimes need to run a big embossing folder through. But it cuts like butter. So here's the die cut, and just as slick as anything, there's my piece cut out. And then there are plates for regular embossing folders and for the 3D embossing folders, and with the instructions and the numbers on the plates, just like the big machine. So everything you need to use this machine comes with, and it's got a good price point. And I think this would be good for card classes, to put a couple of these out different places in the room so people wouldn't have to wait in line for the big machines to do cutting. So anyway, it's here, and it will be available to order on January 5th with the launch of the new catalog. So just a teaser here just to let you know what it looks like. And I've already used it, and it's just going to be handy as anything. particularly if you travel. I know that as soon as we can travel again, it looks like we might be able to here before long. If you take your projects with you, and it's hard to lug the big machine along, but this little one would allow you to emboss and cut and do everything if you were traveling or going to a crop or any kind of an event where there's stamping taking place. You can have your own personal machine and get everything taken care of. So again, that's it for me. Thank you again so much for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.